Hello, Aries. Welcome to your weekly reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If you're watching this reading was meant to find you. Please hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aries, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. We start with the Seven of Swords. I'm kind of getting this feeling like in your life right now, there are a lot of people that are sort of making decisions around you, right? And I kind of feel as if rather than fight with everybody, right now you're just saying, okay, fine, I feel like you're trying to really focus on what you need to do, what your job is, what your role is, what your work is, With this, see, there's an Ace of Swords right in the middle of that card. And that Ace of Swords is you. It's your intention, it's your will, it's your thought process, right? Trying to sort of stick to your game plan. There's a lot of other people that seem to have other ideas. I think that there's other, sort of, not criticism necessarily, but there are opposing viewpoints coming in. And I think you're starting to sort of you're starting to not want to hear it. We're starting to kind of just, don't talk to me kind of energy, Because I feel like it's something that would it would suck you in, right? And then you would engage with these other people or these other opinions, and it would take you away from your central focus. Okay. So this card is called futility. It's the futility of you trying to engage with everyone and have a response for everyone, or to voice your opinion toward everyone who's kind of coming at you with sort of their own ideas and, their own opinions and their own decisions, right? So it kind of feels like it is either all or nothing in a way. It's either you ignore everybody, or suddenly you're just sucked into it and you're not going to follow your path because you're so kind of become preoccupied with everybody else and what they're doing and that interaction. Okay, so it's the futility of either you trying to focus on your central path and your thought process and your plan and your work when there's all this other stuff going on around you, or it's the futility of all that other stuff around you trying to interfere with your will. This is not going to happen, right? So we need some sort of, we need an energy here that's going to kind of quiet down these other voices. Now, these could be coming from inside of us too. These could be criticisms. It could be this internal dialogue. Okay. We need a way to sort of tune out all the static. Yeah. Let's put this card into a little bit of context. Let's see what else is going on for you. There we go. Two of Wands. A Ten of Swords. Knight of Cups. There's your Emperor card. There it is. That is the Emperor. It rules the sign of Aries, obviously, right? This is your superpower card. That's why we ring the bell. It's a very strong, auspicious omen for you. And then we have the Hanged Man in the future position. It seems to me as if there is this, with the Two of Wands right in the middle anyway. It feels as like if it's through sheer willpower, right, that we are going to, I think we're sort of picking our battles here, okay? This could be a work situation. It could be family. I feel like you can't engage with everybody. You can't engage, and I think we have to really be discerning, and this is where we've got our Two of Wands, because we have to be able to tune out some of that static. When you're sitting there doing your work, you don't want to be sucked in by the negative comments, the negative opinions, the criticism of other people, or from yourself, right? from that part of our mind that sort of, checks out of what we're doing and says, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this right. You're making mistakes. This is all wrong. You look like an idiot. All these kinds of the negative self-dialogue, internal kind of dialogue. So this is our ability, I think, to control, to pick and choose. It's sort of the Two of Wands is the card of dominion. This is, your headspace is your domain. You don't have to listen to everybody that's telling you how you should be doing things or what you should be doing or judging what you're doing. We have to be able to tune some of that out. Because once we do, what we're left with is an Ace of Swords, clarity, right? Clarity of mind, a clear headspace that can focus and get stuff done, right? So I feel that there is a sort of a, I feel there's a lot of people around you right now there's a lot of voices coming in. Anyway, that's what I'm feeling. If there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. We're going to put the rest of our cards out on the table, and then we'll get into these energies one by one. We have the Art or Temperance card, the Nine of Cups, which is very nice, the Two of Cups, and a Five of Swords. We really are going after this Nine of Cups. That's the happiness, right? And so a lot of this, I think, is related to the air energy. It seems to be a predominant element right now is this air. And I think it really is about how we're dealing with critical people and not constructive criticism. I'm kind of looking at the Five of Swords here as being some of that constructive dialogue. You want someone to come in and say, hey, what do you think about this? And they'll sort of give you their opinion, Whereas the Seven of Swords feels like opinions you haven't asked for, advice you haven't solicited or sought out or asked for. And it feels like it is criticism of the sort of destructive kind. All right, the forces that are around you that are trying to thwart your will. And that Two of Wands has to be the will of that emperor to just kind of like, silence those thoughts or tune out those other voices, because you're doing something very important here. Okay, I think you're invoking great changes in your life, and to do that we have to be fully on board with ourselves, right? We can't be sort of falling victim or falling prey to these other voices, these negative voices, the criticisms. Okay, I don't know who it is around you that is doing this. I don't, because there's not a lot of court cards here, right? We have one, and I think this is really about your passionate involvement. You are on this quest for this Holy Grail. Of course, we're getting it over here. These are the changes we're making in our life, right? And I think that it's a very serious process for you. This isn't something that's just quite frivolous. This is a really deep thing. It's a very spiritual thing for you. We see that Hanged Man there. And I feel like because of the work that you're doing, I think it's spiritual work or maybe it's creative work, it's kind of leaving you open to a lot of energy. Okay? And sometimes that's what the Hanged Man is going to signify, the fact that we are kind of, we're in a particular position that leaves us vulnerable to any sort of energy that's around. Okay, so we have to kind of, we got to get into a really clear and safe space for you to create and for you to undergo these changes and make these changes in your life. Now let's select our mystery card. I'm also interested in the lack of earth energy here, okay? So our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card, it's a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. We're going to set it down here with our little sea turtle friend on top. I still don't remember what the name is for that sea turtle. I can't remember what we agreed to call that sea turtle. Anyway, if you have a prediction for that card, please put it in the comments down below. Okay. Let's take a look around the room. We've got a couple of major arcana energies. Of course, your power card. This is all about your spiritual awakening. This is all about you, invoking these big changes into your life, right? Allowing them to enter your life, right? Allowing more vulnerability, allowing more love, allowing more joy and happiness and abundance into your life. By making decisions of your own will, making intentional changes and pursuing things that mean something to you despite any sort of criticism coming from anywhere else. You're handling this situation like an emperor, right? Like a boss. And this is front and center. And you're trying really to, in a way, there's part of you that wants to please all the people all the time. There is part of this emperor energy that just kind of wants everybody to prosper, everybody to be happy, everybody to get their way, everybody to be satisfied, right? But that's not always a good way for an emperor to sort of rule the realm, right? We can't try to order our lives to please other people. Do you know what I mean? And especially because someone's going to find something to bitch about all the time, right? There's always going to be something. It's a never-ending task if that's what you're trying to do, is please everybody, make everybody happy. Everybody thinks you should do this thing or this thing or this thing or this thing. Well, then you do all of those things. Well, there's going to be a whole other group of people that say you should do the opposite. So what you're doing, the changes you're making in your life, the things that you're creating, the choices that you are making are for you. Okay? The fact that they're going to be helpful or useful or enjoyed by other people is kind of it's a wonderful side effect. Okay? And that's where we get our Nine of Cups over here. The Hanged Man is, in a way, you're sacrificing yourself to yourself. Okay? I think that you are, you're sort of, you're trying to silence, I think, that part of you that is going to listen to all the complaints, all the criticisms. Okay? It's sort of like you're willing to put yourself in this position to achieve what you're meant to achieve in life. It would be a little bit easier if there weren't people around making it worse for you, because I think this is already enough of a sacrifice for you, that you're sort of stepping out into the unknown. You're opening yourself up in this vulnerable way, right? And making a lot of changes. Maybe you're changing careers. Maybe you're changing, maybe it's a living situation. Maybe it's a focus. Maybe you're opening yourself up in a more spiritual way to a deeper spiritual practice. The last thing we need is for the people around us to be, sort of telling us we're doing it wrong. So we have the Hanged Man, and we have also the Art or Temperance card. And in some ways, the Temperance card is a bit of a balance between a boss, emperor kind of ruler, the authority. Again, where the emperor here, in this case, is ruling with an iron fist. Is ruling with a very sort of strong will, right? And is not really listening to anybody else, doing things your way, on your terms, despite what anybody else may say, despite what their opinions could be about you or about what you're doing. Maybe this is a work thing. Whereas the Hanged Man, alternatively, in the context of these two, it's this idea of completely sacrificing your will and your intention, your desires, your aspirations, your work, your plans, right, for what anybody else wants. It's the emperor sort of giving in and saying, okay, fine, we'll do it your way. And I feel that from the beginning was a strong sort of feeling here, that there's sort of this balance between standing up and refusing to give in to anybody that's asking you for things or trying to get you to do things a different way, or giving their opinions or trying to make their own decisions about your life. The emperor is very resistant to that, whereas the Hanged Man is kind of like a cork on the ocean. Whatever's happening is happening. Whatever the flow is, whatever the consensus is, whatever, we're going to completely flow with that current here. The Temperance card is a sort of in-between. Okay? So we're trying to make sacrifices and make concessions to these people around you, whether they're family members or friends or coworkers, or something else. Maybe you're a public figure. Maybe this is sort of your fans or your constituents or something like that. Trying to make concessions and trying to sacrifice our own sort of best interest, but not to the degree that we're completely. See, these are two extremes. Okay, and I think that your very best self is one that's sort of a blend of very strong-willed, headstrong, intentional actions and decisions, and then also the ability to sacrifice and concede and to compromise. So these two cards together, I think, if they're in a nice balance, I think they could be really, really useful. I think they could be very strong cards because we're listening to others, but not too much. We're taking the advice. We're open to sort of giving in to other people's wishes, right? Sometimes, not all the time. And I think that's the issue because it's that black and white feeling. It's either I do my will all day, every day, or I succumb to somebody else's will all day, every day. It's either or, right? Well, the Temperance card is telling us that we need to sort of do both. And that maybe we have to be a little bit more discerning or selective about, what things we compromise on, right? And sort of who we negotiate with. And I think we're looking for people that resonate with us more. You're not just going to some random person from the street, right, telling you what you should do with your life, and you say, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I think there are some people that you truly value their opinions, and those are the people that you're going to be seeking out. Okay? Now, we've got fire here, obviously. We've got water, water. The air, air, air. Now, we have water back here too, and this is also water. We don't have any earth energy. And the lack of earth energy is making me wonder if right now we're caught up in our headspace. We haven't yet taken any action here, that we're trying to bring about these big changes, but now there's some interference. Now we're trying to battle all of the different thoughts, the different feelings, the different perspectives, everybody else's opinion, everybody else's idea of what they think is the right course of action. And perhaps this emperor is here saying, look, you're the leader here. You're the boss. Like literally, you're the boss. You can listen to these other opinions, other voices, but you have to make the decision for yourself. It's your responsibility. That's why you are the leader here. That's why you are in charge. Maybe you're in charge of the company. Maybe it's your company. Maybe you're just the supervisor or manager. You're the head of the department. Maybe you're the head of the family. Maybe this is just your life, generally. And we're trying to navigate this idea of everybody having an opinion on what we should do with our lives. How we should order things, what we should do, how we should eat, how we should exercise, how we should sleep, how much we should sleep. Everybody's got an opinion. You know what they say about opinions, right? And it's everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, there's another opinion. There's another bit of information attacking your central sword, your clarity. It's like we just have this antenna, this satellite dish on our heads. Everything's coming in. It's collecting everything, all of the nonsense, all of the good ideas and the bad ideas, and how do we sort through them? Okay? So we sort of need to put a stop to that. We need to, I think, find a way to not listen, to be able to tune out some of this static, okay? Because you have a plan for your life, and maybe we do need a little bit of advice. We want to talk it over with somebody. We want to have a discussion. Okay? Again, it doesn't have to be black or white. It's not that we completely turn off the mind and we isolate ourselves and we sort of end up, in hermit mode or something, because I feel like there is a dialogue that needs to happen. Okay, but I feel like there are too many voices in your head right now. Yeah. And there might be one particular voice that is louder than the others, and that really is this kind of two of wands, sort of a challenge, a battle of wills, And if there is one other person in your life that you're sort of maybe not arguing with actively, but who is sort of opposing your intention and your will, I feel like that might be a person that we really have to sit down and have a conversation with, like an official conversation. Like let's clear some time in our calendar and sit down and talk to them. Maybe that's the Five of Swords. Because otherwise, the Seven of Swords could be really these sideways attacks, okay? Rather than a direct conversation. Yeah. The Ten of Swords underneath everything, this is a card of ruin, right? This is a card of, if we look at it this way, going down, it seems as if all of these doubts, all of this criticism, all of this sort of negative energy, all of this... all of these kind of attacks, really, the sort of the negative comments, the negative energy that's coming in. They're distractions in a way. But what they do is really, or they could anyway, they could lead us to completely abandoning our plans, where we're trying to maintain our will, we're trying to keep this clarity and stay on our Ace of Swords, but there comes a point when we're just in this so much that we just say, forget it. Okay? That there's just too, it's too chaotic. There's too much opposition. There's too much getting in the way of it. Right? And as we see with the lack of Earth cards, we haven't even really started yet. It's like we're still in the planning phases of something, and we're about to just chuck it out the window, chuck it all overboard. I don't even care anymore, because, we get into a room and we're trying to have a conversation and everybody's talking at once. And maybe you've been here for a minute and you're finally just like, okay, enough is enough. And then, we either find a solution or we just throw the whole thing overboard and we just say, forget it. I'm done, and we're out of there. Because we can't exist in this sort of tension. We need some resolution to this tension. Okay? This feels like every step of the way in this planning phase, you're hit with, it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's ruined by 1,000, different voices all coming at you at once, trying to give you their opinion or, make sure you include this for me, always tacking on new things or new asks, right? So we need this too. This is a Mars in Aries energy, okay? And I think as an Aries person, what the Mars in Aries is really talking about, right? It's kind of talking about you getting mad, And it's you really with no other choice. In a mind that is in this kind of a gauntlet, there comes a point where we just sort of rage, we just sort of scream. This might be like you're literally like going into the back office and putting your face in a pillow and just screaming, And maybe there's something to that. Maybe we need to sort of do that primal scream thing because it's frustrating. And this Seven of Swords state cannot last, right? Because if it does, we're going to end up just snapping, giving up, throwing in the towel, quitting, saying, I don't even care, I don't even want this anymore, right? Like you're trying to build that bookshelf, right? And not only do you have to follow the instructions, but then you've got everybody else in the room trying to give you their opinions on how to do it right, what tools to use. and trying to tell you kind of what they want out of it and how you should do it, and maybe it has nothing to do with the bookshelf. Maybe they're just telling you about their day. They're asking you all these questions. They have all these other problems. You're trying to sit here and do this bookshelf. You're trying to read the instructions and figure out how to build it. And to the point where we just say, okay, enough is enough. I don't care. I don't want the bookshelf. I hate books. I don't even want to read anymore. Get all this junk out of my way. I'm going to go watch TV. And so that is the two of wands that we sort of need that energy. We need this ability to say, okay, stop. But once we get that silence, once we sort of stand up and say, stop, and the room goes quiet, then we have to get to work. As we're not just going to storm out of the room, right? And then the room's going to be quiet, right? If you sort of scream and walk away, the room's going to be quiet, right? But that's what we want, the room to be quiet. So if we have to just get up and say, stop, and quiet the room down, let's use that silence to be productive, to do what we need to do to get this thing done, whatever it may be. Okay? I think it's something that really means a lot to you. We've got this Knight of Cups in the background. This is that passionate desire to build the bookcase, not because you love to build things, not because you love bookcases, because you love to read, because you want this. It's worth the effort for you, right? That this is something, I think, something you're pursuing, that changes that you wish to make, progress you wish to make, because fundamentally, that's the life that you want. And I feel like this is going to benefit a lot of people, not everybody, right? You can't let the whole world come and read your books, But it's going to benefit a lot of people, okay? But in order for you to accomplish your goals and really materialize your plan into something concrete that says, okay, hey, look, I made something, there's a result of all of this. You sort of need that clarity, you need that mental calm, you need that clear headspace. We need an Ace of Swords. Maybe we'll get that with our mystery card here. So, the Knight of Cups is sort of a gift that you're trying to give the world. You're trying to accomplish something for yourself, but it's a two-way street. This is a very reciprocating card. It's the giving and receiving of love and affection. This is you passionately pursuing your goals, with love in your heart, with a desire for everybody to sort of benefit from this. But in order for it to work, you need people to leave you alone a little bit, right? So basically, the 7 and the 5 of Swords is saying, don't give me your opinions or your advice unless I ask for them. Otherwise, let me work. Let me figure it. Let me think, And we've all been in situations like that, where we've been trying to think and figure something out. And there's a cacophony of other voices around us, whether it's at work, at home, at school, you think of professional sports, right, or college sports, or any kind of team sport, really. You're there playing your sport, trying to figure out what you're supposed to do and do the very best you can. And there's screaming going on around you. Could you imagine trying to focus and do your very best when someone's screaming in your face? It sort of sounds like maybe you're in boot camp or something, right? And that could be part of it. It could be. But I feel like that's sort of the state in which we exist. I don't think it's literally anybody screaming in your face, but I feel like that's how we feel. That's kind of that's our mental energy right now. It feels like somebody's screaming in our face anytime we're sitting down trying to focus. Okay. The boss energy of the Emperor, I think, is really where we need to go. Because this is the ability, this is the self-control, this is the sovereignty and the autonomy that says, yes, you can say, stop. You can tell the world, you can stop the world, right? And you can find your clarity. And I think sometimes we worry about our Emperor energy because what if you're trying to build the bookcase and your family and your friends are there and they're all sort of breathing down your neck and talking to you and giving you advice and opinions and admiring your work or criticizing your toolbox or whatever, or your technique with the screwdriver. Sometimes we feel as if we have to just kind of smile and take it. Oh, yes, oh, funny joke, about the screwdriver. Because we feel as if we stand up and we say, hey, can you give me some space, right? We're going to offend everybody. And then they're going to be like, oh gosh, Aries is kind of an a-hole, I think I'm going to go home. Don't let the door hit you, And so I think this is sort of the difference between the Emperor and the Hanged Man, which are really, that's kind of where you're stuck. It's like, do you just tell people to stop and get away from you? Or do you just sort of smile and endure it and suffer through it? Or do you just give up and go to your room and say, screw the bookshelf? Okay. And a lot of us are going to suffer and just sort of smile and endure because we don't want to offend everybody. Because we feel as if we tell people, hey, I'm trying to focus here. I really need to figure out what I'm doing. Can you give me a few minutes to sort this out? People are going to take offense to that. And maybe there was nothing offensive in the way you say it, but was there? I mean, we have to sort of know that about ourselves. And that's part of our Two of Wands. That we should try to figure this out in a reasonable way. Five of Swords, before we just stand up and say, shut up, and then offend everybody, and then everybody clears out of our lives. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what we want. Maybe that's what we need right now. Okay? It's sort of up to you, right? But the Hanged Man, I think, is sort of a difficult thing to sort of deal with, because this isn't a state that can last forever either. And this is kind of, we feel this sort of tension, this anxiety, and there's only so long that we can just smile and nod and endure it and suffer it, And we stay in the Hanged Man position too long, eventually we're going to be yelling at everybody, get out of here, Rather than, okay, let's do something now to solve this problem before we snap, before it gets too extreme, right? Where we just yell and scream and then we leave the room. How can we have this conversation in a sort of respectful and polite way to say, hey, excuse me, I just need a couple minutes to focus on this. Can you wait for me and then we'll talk. A polite way to tell people to leave you alone. Is there a polite way to do that? Well, maybe not. Let's talk about the path of the serpent. As we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It's free, doesn't cost anything. Okay, it supports the channel. I really do appreciate that. A couple other announcements. Go check out my bedtime story channel. It's Dove and Serpent Bedtime Stories. I promise I don't always sound like this. I'm having some vocal issues. Go subscribe to that channel if you don't mind. Trying to get that one sort of going, trying to get it off the ground, you see. Also, come find me on Facebook. I have an official Facebook page. You'll know it's me. There'll be the blue check mark. If it doesn't have the blue check mark, it ain't me. Okay? Dove and Serpent Tarot on Facebook. Look for the blue check mark. And follow me over there, too. Yeah. Okay. Pressure cooker. All right. Temperance card. We're trying to temper our reactions. We're trying to find a nice, polite middle road between the extremes. Between the extremes of Emperor and Hanged Man. And that's not an easy task. Especially if you feel like you're in a pressure cooker situation. You're sort of, you're in the fire right now. You're in the middle of this crowded room trying to build a bookshelf. You're trying to change a lot of things in your life. You're trying to bring about some really big changes. And that's kind of like this pressure is what's creating the diamond. But we have to be able to navigate it in a way that gives us the very best results. So we don't want to just stand up and yell at people and tell them to get away from me. I'm trying to build a bookshelf. So we want to do it in a way that's sort of like, hey, I love you, but I also need to focus here and I need to get some things done. Okay. But we really don't want our loved ones, our friends, family, our coworkers to feel offended by that, right? And I find that's a very sticky situation. It's a pressure cooker in its own, right? Because you don't know how the other person's going to take it. You don't know how you sound, right? Are you speaking with a little too much attitude, right? Well, what I can kind of see with the Nine of Cups is that the people in your life, the people that matter, I think, are going to understand. And if they don't understand, they don't matter. Okay? Nine of Cups, happiness. You're pursuing your happiness. If people cannot be happy for you, doing what you feel in your highest self you need to do for your highest good, if they can't be happy for you and supportive of that, sometimes we have to ask ourselves, why? Are these people relying on you for their own happiness? And now you're flipping the script around, you're changing things up, and that's threatening their sort of tap of that happy juice, you know? So I think that if people really care about us, they will want to see us make positive changes in our lives. And if the changes that you're making in your life are in some ways threatening to them, right? Because you're changing things about your life or about your perspective, about what you're doing, where you're doing it, how you're doing it, and it affects other people in a negative way. Of course, they're not going to like that, right? So I think that the changes you're trying to invoke in your life are, I think they're affecting people in a lot of ways. Okay? Let's say you're making changes at work. Well, that's going to affect the other people you work with, right? You're making changes at home. That's going to affect other people that you're living with, right? Let's say you're making changes about your sleep habits and your eating habits. Well, that's going to affect other people in the home too, because are they going to have to do those same eating habits as you are, right? Are they going to have to go on the same diet that we're going on? You know, right now for me, I'm doing this low carb thing. You know, I think it's working. I think it's okay. I think it's nice. I feel good. But I don't expect my family to do it, you know, because then it's kind of like, that's affecting their choices and their routines and their lifestyle, right? And I don't think we're really trying to impose our will on other people like that, but we're trying to just, look, I want to do what I want to do. It may affect you indirectly, but sometimes that's unavoidable, okay? And there's a difference here, because that Two of Wands is not saying that you're trying to impose your will or impose your policy on everybody else. You want everybody to do what's going to make them happy. Live and let live. We want relationships that are supportive, abundant, joyous. You know, we want everybody to be free to pursue their best life, to follow their bliss, to pursue their happiness. You expect that same courtesy, okay? If you're making choices in your life that then are going to affect my life in an indirect way, and I may be sad about that, but if I care about you, I'll say, yeah, I support you, of course. If you need anything from me, do it. You know, ask. Because I would expect the same thing from you, even though maybe it's going to take away, you know, let's say you have a business and your very best employee is saying, hey, I'm going to go back to school and I'm not going to be able to work here anymore. And we think, oh gosh, that's my best employee. Well, it's going to be a loss to me, right? But because I care about this person, I'll say, yeah, whatever you need, I'm going to support you. You know, it sucks for me personally because I'm losing my best employee, but I love you and I want you to be happy. Okay? And so I feel like that is a big factor. And then we start to wonder why there are some people that don't seem to be happy for us. Well, it's because what we're doing affects them in that kind of way, where they feel they're experiencing a little bit of a loss, even though you're not the hanged man that just needs to sort of concede to what they need and be that person that they need. You know, it's like you would tell that your best employee to say, no, I don't want you to go back to school and better your life. I don't want you to go get the better job, or to move to wherever you really want to live, or to get married and to move away. I don't want you to do that. You got to stay here, work for me, because I need you. Because you're prosperous to me, right? That sounds weird, right? We wouldn't do that to somebody else. We don't want anyone to do that to us. I don't think anybody's saying that overtly, but I'm starting to wonder if that's what it feels like. The people that should be happy for you, sometimes it doesn't seem as if they are. And those are difficult relationships to navigate. We got that 9 of Cups in the environment. Okay. The 2 of Cups is sort of in the obstacle. And that goes right along with what we're talking about with the 9 of Cups, I think. Because we're starting to wonder in those one-on-one relationships that we have with people, who's really on our team and who's not. You see. We start to wonder as we interact with people, you know, these people I thought they were supportive of me. You know, your best friend, your family members, your coworkers, that boss that kind of says, no, I don't want you to go. I'm angry with you. And it's just sort of, you know, maybe they don't say it overtly, but it's just like there's an anger there, you know, because you're leaving. And I'm going to treat you differently because you're leaving, when you would expect them to be supportive. I wonder if it's kind of the reverse situation. If you're the boss here and you're experiencing something of a loss, a change, a setback, but because you really do care about the person, you're not going to treat them in that sort of negative way, right? Just because they're trying to better their lives. And so this is now we could look at it from both angles and take it whichever way it resonates for you. But I feel like you are in some way standing up for yourself. You are a boss, right? This Aries Emperor energy, this is saying that you're taking control of your life. And I think you're doing something that other people indirectly are going to feel kind of is a detriment to their life. You're moving away, right? You're changing the way you're going to do something. You're saying, maybe you're disengaging from something, or you're pursuing a different course in life. The changes that you're trying to implement, right? And I think you're being treated in a strange way by some other people in your life. And you're starting to wonder, are those really my people? Yeah. Maybe it just comes down to, maybe it just comes down to a 5 of Swords having that conversation. And being able to sit down and be like, hey, you know, I noticed that you're kind of treating me different since since you kind of learned that I was doing these things in my life. Why is that, you know? And maybe a lot of your friends or family members or coworkers will say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was treating you differently. I'm so sorry. I do care about you. I do support you. And I want you to make these changes and better your life and pursue your happiness. I mean, these are going to be good changes for you. You're not doing anything that is, going to ruin your life. You know, you're improving your life. You're making positive changes. So why the criticism? Why the tension between people, right? We may just have to have a conversation and ask people, hey, you know, is this a problem for you? Because we don't need those people in our lives. If people care about you, they will support your happiness. The people who matter won't mind. If they mind, they don't matter. Let's look at our mystery card. And I don't know exactly what you're doing. I know you're pursuing your happiness. And I know it's going to be very positive for you. Sometimes the way other people react to our choices can be a little discouraging. Let's see what we have here with our mystery card. Maybe a Fool. Maybe an Empress. Maybe an Ace of Swords. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. The Sun card. The Sun card is clarity, which is what we wanted. But the Sun card is success, health, wealth, happiness. And it really, too, I think the Sun card is shedding a lot of light on these relationships. I feel like the Sun card is letting you see people's true colors. Yeah. The Sun card is that spiritual cosmic insight where you can you get this, suddenly everything is lit up, everything is illuminated. There are no mysteries, nothing is hidden from you. Nothing is like, God, why are they acting that way? You can see people for who they really are. And I think you're recognizing the people that care for you, want you to succeed, and the people who may feel like they're against you. Because your choices are inconveniencing them. Okay, let's say, at the very least. So, perhaps by having these conversations, maybe you don't even need to really, it's not like you need to sit down with everybody at a one-on-one, but the Five of Swords, I think, is give this some thought. Think about these different people in your life and strive for that clarity. Because I think you'll have a much easier time, a much happier life, if we learn to recognize those people that are only supportive of us so long as what we do is helping them, is supporting them. The moment we do something for ourselves that may inconvenience someone else, indirectly, unintentionally, right? And maybe this is a lot of self-awareness too, for you to have that confidence that say, look, I'm not doing anything unreasonable. I want to go back to school or get a better job. I don't feel like my boss should be treating me this way because I'm making these decisions for myself. Yeah, it's inconveniencing your boss or your company or whatever, but it's something that I need to, we shouldn't have to sacrifice that to please that other person, you see. And we need that clarity within ourselves so we can be confident to say, look, I know I'm making good decisions, and now I need to have clarity about how other people are handling my decisions and reacting to those decisions. Yeah. We're going to do a extended reading if you want to stick around. There's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Aries Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It's free. Doesn't cost anything to subscribe. Go subscribe to Dove and Serpent Bedtime Stories as well. Find me on Facebook, Dove and Serpent Tarot, with the blue check mark only. That is the only official page. Okay. And on Instagram as well. Yeah, you'll see the blue check mark. That's me. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.